round 7 of the British GT Championship, and the season so far has been dominated by the Celine of Tommy Erdős and Ian McKellar. But for all their wins, they're only 11 points ahead of the Lister Storm. I reckon there's still a lot of twists and turns left in this championship, and it could start here at Castle Combe.
Mike Jordan, Silverstone, I mean, you had a heck of a race car to try and get home because you had to come in together with the TVR, and tell us again about how tough that was.
It was really only the screen that was that much of a problem, because we'd lost a little bit of the front splitter. That hurts the downforce a little bit, but the rest of the car, it's a strong car. Lawrence always builds them strong, and it was fine. It was only the visibility that was an issue, so hopefully we won't be having that tomorrow. But we looked at what we did last year, looked at the changes to the car, and it's exactly on the springs, the roll bars and the dampers exactly where they were this morning. So all of last year's experience is working well.
Okay, Michael Caine, you were so impressive around here in qualifying today. You really looked like you were on it.
Yeah, I think the circuit suits my driving style. It's a bit of balls out. Obviously, Mike Jordan did a wonderful job to pick me at the end, but never happy being bridesmaid, so second's no good. Yeah, I mean, as far as we're concerned, we do come here to win. TVR invest an awful lot of money into the 12. You know, it's the best looking car out there and it deserves to be number one. Rob's getting to grips with the car superb, and hopefully if the car lasts and we don't have any stupid little niggles, yeah, we should be coming home with the winner's pot again. So,
Callum, Castle Combe, does that suit the Ferrari? Have you set the car up in any particular way here differently than before?
No, I don't think so. We're just continuing on our development program. There's lots to think about and do on the car, and not an awful lot of time to try it all. So I think really, rather than a specific setup for Combe, we're just working through a whole bunch of different setups to find out what works best for the car, because we're still learning about it. And we're certainly up against it with Tim doing the whole race on his own, but he'll have a long pit stop, obviously, driving on his own. I don't know how long that's going to be, but he will be in charge mode, so it's going to be a fight. I think, it'll be a hard fight, but we're looking forward to it.
Tim Sugden, your normal partner, Steve O'Rourke's tied up in jury service, so he can't race this weekend. So, do you like the idea of racing on your own, or do you think you can have a better result?
Not entirely on my own. I've got the Wombat in the car, which is one of the guys in the catering staff that's tie-wrapped his little pet monkey into the car. But no, it'll be interesting. I've done this championship on and off. I think this is like the 4th or 5th year I've done this championship. And Steve's a fantastic guy. He is a little bit slower than me, so we struggle a little bit from that point of view, but the car's very good, and as a team we work really well. It'll depend a little bit on how long the pit stop has to be, but if the pit stop has to be a reasonable length and it's fair, then I'm really looking forward to it. I think we'll do really well.
Well, this is the points standings right now coming into round number 7. 125 points by the Celine drivers. Not far behind is the Lister. GTO, Short and Pullen still lead that, but Lockie and Davis are snapping at their heels. The Jones boys in the Porsche also coming on strong as we are ready to go here in action. We take a look at the grid. Look at that, the Lister on pole position, the TVR second, and it's the Celine third on the grid, but it's the number 8 Celine, and it's the championship leading car is in 4th position, so not a good qualifying position by the McKellar and Erdős machine. Great qualifying in GTO, and that was Martin Short just out-qualified a little bit by Tim Sugden. Now we're going to green. Here it is, the Lister off of that pole position, the TVR into Camp Corner for the first time. The pace cars come off. We're going on board with Tommy Erdős. Oh, very, very close here. We know that Dave Warnock is a little bit steady into the first few corners, but oh, Lister, yes, he has lost it into the second corner there. Very, very lucky to come away with that. Looked like he just got tucked in behind Rob Barb, trying to get by him. Wow, very, very fortunate indeed. Didn't look like he was collected by anybody as we go through the chicane here, on board with Simon Pullen. And we see, and Simon Pullen loses it. Simon Pullen turns around coming out of the chicane, so all action here. We saw the Celine spinning off. Simon Pullen there leading the championship. He is back going again and again. Oh, look at this. And that is Ben Joseph making his debut in the Ultima, and he has also spun. So, all kinds of action. Julian Bailey, what a start to this race.
Well, it's looking great. The problem is that people are pushing hard, cold tyres, and there's a lot of undulations on this track. You can see the cars bouncing up and down. It's caught a few guys out, but I think we're for plenty of action in this race.
Yeah, absolutely, Julian. Undulations is a nice way of putting it. Some of the drivers, as we see Tommy Erdős going over those undulations, absolute bumps on the track here. Now, we take a look at this. Can you give us an indication here, Julian? Oh, why that happened.
Well, just like, as I said, you know, the car's bouncing around. He's caught it on cold tyres, rear brakes locking, and just a quick spin. But fortunately, he's got away with that. A lot of debris there on the track there, grass, which goes in cars' radiators and causes them to overheat.
Yeah, and we get a chance here from the Lister. Now, the car in front here is being driven by Jeff Lister. Of course, he's driving a Saleen. We're on board with Dave Warnock in the Lister. You can see him slowing right down. And yeah, it looked like he was just tucked up in behind the Lister, made an error here. And here, this is the shit. Simon Pullen. Yeah, I think he gets a tap there from Shane Lynch. We see the Marcos going off there. Just seems to spin in sympathy. Do you reckon Lynch hit the back of that car, Julian?
Definitely looks like a touch to me, and yeah, just unfortunate. And well, fortunate in a way that he wasn't collected by all the other cars.
Yeah, very, very fortunate indeed as they go through Camp Corner. That is Rob Barf, our race leader. Tucked right in behind him now is Tommy Erdos in the Saleen. Great job by Barf here in the leading TBR. We were talking about the undulations on this track. Very, very... Oh, Tony Littlejohn spins at Camp Corner. He's going to get that car. Oh! Oh! Wow, Tony Littlejohn. And that is the number 8 Saleen of Jeff Lister. And that is a very, 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 very nasty accident indeed. Tony Littlejohn. And it looks like Jeff Lister is coming out of that car. Wow. I can't... Wow, Julian, I don't know. That is just... That is a massive, massive accident. Our concern now is with Tony Littlejohn in that 15 Porsche. It looked like he spun the car and was just trying to get out of the way of cars here. And Tony Littlejohn, we can see no movement from the point preparation Porsche right now, and he's taken a fantastically heavy impact.
Well, it's good to see one driver walking out, but he's obviously not completely okay. The marshal's making the signal there for assistance, and we just hope that the other guy's going to be okay.
Yeah, the doctor's car is being scrambled very, very quickly. And of course, we see the pace car coming out here.
Well, here we've got the replay. One of the problems is when you spin like this, obviously the two guys have touched. Now he's got a dilemma, a very quick corner. He either stays there and guys go either side, as you saw there, or he gets out of the way. He's tried to get out of the way, and the Saleen's just picked the wrong line, and wow, that was a hell of an impact. It's just fortunate the guy is sitting in a left-hand drive car, because that could have been an awful lot worse.
Yeah, well, it's like you say, he was in like a no man's land situation there, Julian. If he stayed where he was, he may have got hit again or by somebody else, and obviously a lot of concern here from the boys at Graham Nash Motorsport. Well, of course, we have a safety car situation. The safety car's lights are still on. That means everybody is cruising around. These laps count towards the race, of course. Now, some of the teams, well, yes, we see the 69 car coming in here. Will be able to come into the pits while the safety car is on. Now, that's Shane Lynch's car that we think hit the back of Simon Pullen's machine earlier on. Now, this will not count for their pit stop. They can come in and make repairs and perhaps get back out again and not lose too much because we have a safety car. Isn't that right, Julian?
Well, obviously, we brought that up earlier, that there was contact, and you can obviously see they're trying to repair the car now.
Yeah, and here we see the Velox Ferrari also. Now that was on the outside. That was Tony Littlejohn was actually trying to overtake that car, and don't think they sustained too much damage, but Callum Lockie again has taken advantage of the safety car period to bring the Velox Ferrari in.
One of the problems we've got here, Castle Combe made a big effort. They've cut all the grass, and you can see how much grass there is all over the circuit. When this car goes off, for example, and all this goes in the radiators of the cars, and they overheat. So obviously everyone's checking. Anyone who's been off comes in and checks, because look how much grass is put on that circuit now.
Yeah, very good point there, Julian, and that's a major factor in these cars in an hour-long race. But that, of course, contributed. Jeff Lister going off earlier on his own, if you like, contributed to the fact that he was positioned in the wrong place when this situation happened here. So if Jeff Lister hadn't have spun earlier, then, again, no matter how many times I see that always looks like it's going to hurt a lot.
That was a big impact.
Yeah, it sure was, and Jeff Lister here being taken away for further medical attention. Obviously, he is conscious, and the good news we have, we'll bring you more news on Tony Littlejohn later, is that he also is conscious as they take the number 8 Saleen off the racetrack, and we are going to be able to get to green flag racing again very, very soon indeed, and an extremely second-hand Saleen racing machine. And wow, the impact on that side, and he's so fortunate that is a left-hand drive car. The lights are off on the safety car. The safety car pulls in. Rob Barf still leads this race at the TBR. Tucked right in behind him, though, is Tommy Erdos, the Brazilian, the leader of the championship. Wants to win this race and extend that lead in the championship. The guy on form, though, pole position, is tucked right in behind, or the car on form, I should say. That is the Lister. That was on pole. Tommy Erdos is making a move. Around the outside here is he. Is Rob Barf going to give him the room? This is where one of the Saleens. No, he doesn't. Tommy Erdos thinks better of it. Rob Barf still continues to lead this race. Him and Michael Caine were so upbeat about having a chance this weekend to actually take their first victory of the year. Through the chicane, Rob Barf comes through. The Speed 12 and the Selene. Oh, and the Selene is just getting up the inside. Yes, it does. Good move there by Tommy Erdos. Rob Barf gave him a little bit of room there, Julian, but it looked almost inevitable as they came out there. Do you think Barf made a mistake?
No, I don't think there was any mistake there. It just seems that the Selene is a superior car. He got the power down well there and just, passed it quite simply, without too much trouble. So you can just see how bumpy the circuit is, though. I mean, I drove there recently in a touring car, and I have to say, I wouldn't be like to be one of those guys out there. It's terrible at the moment.
Oh, and a lot of smoke coming off the back of that Selene, Julian. Wow, that looked very, very difficult indeed. Tommy Erdos just going into the lead of this race. And that might be some good news for Rob Barf. And look at the lead, although, that he has pulled out already. Now, to remind the folks at home, the Selene has been chopped down a couple of sizes on what's called its air restrictor in the last couple of races. So it hasn't been able to qualify as quickly as before. That's why that car there leading the race was only 4th on the grid. So these guys are having to work a lot harder now, Julian, in order to get ahead of the other cars. Superior car, but it's been constrained in terms of power. Doesn't look like it right now, though, is Tommy Erdos. Just great move on Rob Barf, and look at him pulling out this lead now. He has really got the hammer down.
I just wonder whether Rob Barf's got a problem with that car, because it seems to have dropped back quite quickly, and he had a great deal of pace earlier on, so maybe he's got some sort of problem with that car.
Yeah, I think you could have hit the nail on the head there, Julie, because he was, again, looking like he had the measure of the Selene, and it doesn't look like he has the measure of the Lister at all here. Dave Warnock is, again, Dave Warnock, a couple of laps. Once his tires start to come in, he's very quick, and Warnock makes a move down into Kemp.
Well, it definitely looks like there's a problem with the TVR, because there's a GTO car gone past as well, and in fact, you can hear there's something rattling, there's something wrong with that engine on that car. Gearbox is definitely a problem.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Julian Bailey. The onboard shot gave us the advantage to hear what Rob Barf can hear, and of course, the Lister went by him. And let's first mention that Tim Sugden, who's leading in GTO, and he's actually right up there with the front GT boys. Oh, and that's the 47 car. Chris Marries in the Graham Nass Porsche there has spun on the exit of Camp Corner. It looks like he has come to no harm, just going back into racing competition. The Ferrari comes in for its pit stop. And here we see a great move, great driver change by the Ferrari. If they can get going again. Callum Lockie comes out. Jamie Davis jumps in. These are our leading cars. That is the Lister, Dave Warnock coming in. Those are our 2 GTO leaders. Look at that very, very closely. Tim Sugden driving this race on his own. Right in behind him is Simon Pullen, who had that opening lap incident. Now those are our leaders in GTO, the 77 Porsche and the 51, and the TVR. Speed 12 has come to a stop. We're on board with Dave Warnock as he's coming into the pit lane to hand over to Mike Jordan. Now these are super fast pit stops. We're used to seeing this year. Warnock jumps out. Mike Jordan jumps in. Great qualifying lap in qualifying by Mike Jordan to stick that car on pole position. They're really G'd up this weekend. Excellent stop there. He's going to go back out into racing competition, taking over now. That is Mike Jordan. He is going to be chasing down the Selene driven by Tommy Erdos, soon to be driven by Ian McKellar. Have they built up enough of a lead, though, when they come in to make their pit stops? Join us after the break. Welcome back to Castle Combe, round 7 of the British GT Championship. That is our race-leading car. Tommy Erdos comes into the pit lane to hand over to who else? Ian McKellar Jr. They qualified only in 4th position, but boy, do they lead this race right now. We see just ahead of them, that is one of the Tuscanard GTO cars going out. Now this car, we've said it before, much more difficult to make a driver change. They're getting better and better at it. They pulled Tommy Erdos out of that car. Ian McKellar jumps in. Now Mike Jordan is absolutely on it. We're on board with him now. Is he going to go into the lead of this race? He's coming down into Camp Corner. The Selene is just coming out of pit lane. It's going to be extremely close here. Mike Jordan, is he going to get through? We pull the camera back. Ian McKellar Jr. goes out. Yes, he still leads this race. But Mike Jordan flies past him. He had the momentum, and he takes the lead of this race. Julian Bailey, he's right on it right now.
Well, the great thing is here we've got a great race on our hands now, but my money at this stage might be on Mike Jordan. He's a fantastic driver. He's very quick. That car's got a lot of downforce, but hey, we've got a race on our hands here, no problem.
Yeah, we surely do, and we can hear from one of the Lister drivers right now in pit lane.
Yeah, things going okay. I'm ashamed about the safety car. I'm glad those guys are okay. but it didn't give much of a first stint, but at least it looks as though at the moment we're leading.
Leading they are indeed. GTO pit stop now for the 51 Harman Kardon machine. Pierce Johnson jumps out. John Hartshorn jumps into that car. Now we see the number 5 Ultima, Colin Blower prepared car. Ben Joseph is coming down into pit lane. Matt Johnson prepares to take over from Robert Ross as they absolutely fling Robert Ross out of that machine. Now here's our first look at the back end of the Morgan making its comeback in the British Championship after having its run at Le Mans. We're on board with Mike Jordan and he should fly by the number 73 Morgan. And down in pit lane we have Tommy Erdos.
We're suffering now with the restriction, to be honest, and it's hurting us here, but you know, we're playing with the car the way it is. We're doing the best we can. Just very happy to see Jeff Lister and the other driver, you know, out of this very, very serious accident that we had here. And you know, the main thing, they're okay. And you know, we're second at the moment, so hopefully we're in for a podium.
Well, in for a podium indeed, and that is bad news for the number 5 machine, Colin Blower. Well known as a preparation expert in TBR racing. He's had his Ultima out only a couple of times this year. Not a good run for him. Martin Short now in the 55, chasing down Tim Sugden. Right now in front of him, he had the Taylor's Foundry Marcos. That's a GT car in front of him. Again, back in the championship with Jerry Taylor driving that. And look at this. This is the battle for GTO. That is Martin Short. Right in behind him now is Tim Sugden. Tim Sugden, we remind you, driving this race on his own. They both made their pit stops already. Sugden, though, was given a little bit of an extra penalty in the pit stop, so he didn't get an advantage by driving on his own. And right now he is hunting down the 55 machine.
Yeah, it was quite eventful. Got a very good start and was at the head of the class. Tim Sugden sort of squeezed through. But then I got a bit of a tap from behind into the S's on the first lap. I don't know who it was, but you know, he spun me round and I lost quite a few places there. Just had to get my head down and then sort of got quite a relaxing time cruising behind the safety car before I got my head back down for the last few laps of the stint, managed to put the car back into contention and Martin got out in the lead, so it was good. It was good overall, but you know, it was very eventful.
Yeah, very eventful indeed, and we look at this battle now, Julian. Is there an advantage for Tim Sugden driving this race on his own?
Well, in a way there is, because I mean, you've been out on the track, you're in the groove, so when you go back out of your pit stop, you're straight back on it. You know the car's limps, you know the problems on the track if there's any oil, so there is an advantage, but hey, again, we've got a great battle on here.
Oh yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, Julian. Nearly Sugden went by. And we had a great onboard action there from Martin Short. And I tell you what, so there is this advantage if you're in the groove. Does that last for, you know, can the other driver, the second driver like Martin Short, get into that groove quite quickly?
Oh yeah, a driver like Martin will be in the groove straight away, but you know, you always lose a couple of seconds just checking out the circuit, 2 or 3 seconds, making sure there's nothing on the circuit, oil or whatever, but I don't know, we've got a great battle on our hands here now.
Yeah, this is fantastic, and Martin Short knows how to race. Hundreds of seconds have separated these two drivers in qualifying for every race this year. Tim Sugden has come out on top most of the time, but literally by a hair's breadth. And Martin Short, not only can he drive that car quickly, boy, he's going to make it difficult to get around. Oh, we have a flat tire here. Terrible situation here for the 77 car. They have some kind of problem here.
Well, here we see Tim sizing him up. I think, you know, Tim's got a lot of experience as well, so this is going to be a great little battle here, but the Porsche may have the legs on that TVR.
Yeah, and look, Martin Short is having to drive defensively already. There's a little way to go in this race, but I tell you what, he is not going to make it easy for Tim Sugden in any section of the track. We look at Martin Short, very, very cool and calm. Again, we can see the bumps on this track. Mean the drivers are literally just hanging on. Martin Short taking the inside line. They're making Sugden go the long way around. Coming down into Camp Corner, is something going to get him? I doubt he can do it around the outside. Oh, yes, he can. Julian Bailey, that was a good move.
Well, that's a great corner, Camp Corner, and you know, a great move by Sugden. But the good thing about watching these two guys race is they invariably won't take each other off. They've got a lot of experience, and obviously they're aware of how much the machinery is worth.
Oh, don't speak too soon, Julian. You're right, though. Very experienced, very good. You can see they're giving each other all the room. But I don't know, with a couple of laps to go, you never know what's going to happen. Sugden is leading in GTO, and that is Brian Colwell in the TFM Marcos. It looks like he's had some kind of problem. Julian, maybe you can, this is from the Lister.
Well, you can just see there's been oil on the circuit. The tyres are probably going off. It's got a bit too much power too early. It looks like he just spun on his own there, no problem.
Well, we get another shot here of the Morgan, the number 73 Morgan, which, of course, you were in the MG at, oh, nice black lines. You were in the MG at Le Mans. You saw that car a bit, Julian.
Yeah, I saw quite a little bit. Amazed people at how long it lasted, actually, so it was a good effort from a little British team.
Yeah, good effort indeed. And here we have a good battle going on. The 52 Lotus, ooh, right up over the curbs. And now Ben McLaughlin is in the number 69 with his door sliding open there.
Yeah, he's going to have a problem there because he potentially could get black flagged because that door could fly off, hit a spectator, hit anybody, or cause an accident. So he's going to have to come in and fix that problem.
Yeah, very much indeed, Julian. Now they'll have to make a judgment call on that one. And Ben McLaughlin goes through and takes over the position from Matt Johnson, who's taken over that car from Robert Ross. And they have to decide, well, like you say, whether that's safe or not to let it run. Right now, they're deciding to do that. And Mike Jordan is on the last lap of this motor race. Is it going to be Lister's win for what must seem, first win for what must seem like a long, long time? They're second in the championship. But Mike Jordan knows his way around this track. A great stint from him, Julian.
Well, just look at how much he's bouncing up and down in that car. He'll be pleased to get out of that. He'll feel like he's been in a tumble dry at the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. The drivers have made so many comments to us about how tough this track is physically and also on machinery. So let's not speak too soon. Mike Jordan still has just about a third of a lap to go, but he's been doing a great stint. Dave Warnock, of course, was driving that car first, handed over to Mike Jordan. They have seen off the Saleen. The TVR ran into trouble. Mike Jordan, this is almost like his local track. He's just through the last chicane now, coming upon the number 52 car driven by Matt Johnson. We saw him dicing earlier with the TVR, but lights ablaze, letting everybody know the Saleen is just in view there, with Ian McKellar doing everything he can just to close the gap, but he's left it too late. He can coast home to his victory. Yes, he can. Punching his fist, Mike Jordan wins round 7. His hand comes out of the cockpit to celebrate with his team. A great victory. Well, Lister takes its long overdue second win of the season, ahead of the Saleen. Tim Sugden's fantastic third overall gives him his first win in GTO. Good finish there by the Morgan to round out the top 6, and that gives us an amazing 7 different manufacturers inside the top 10.
We came in, we got a real good setup on the car, so I thought it'd go pretty well. Obviously, a bit of an unfortunate start to the race. Had the guys are all okay. And poor David, my co-driver, didn't get much of a run there. We were hoping that he could have a decent run and hang on to them because the car was so good around here. I think he would have done, but I was surprised. I thought we'd probably passed him while he was doing the pit. So Irv said a pretty good pit stop, and I really got my head down and got away from him in the early stages. And then I probably just backed it off a little bit too much and saw the gap was coming down and picked the pace up just before the end. But it was all pretty well under control. Car's phenomenal around here. We haven't changed anything since we got here. Last year's experience has worked well.
Well, after this horrendous accident which we saw earlier, I'm very pleased to inform you that both drivers, although very, very seriously bruised, of course, are reported to us as okay. So we breathe a big sigh of relief and very, very good news indeed. Well, in the GTO point standings, the Saleen lead takes a serious hit. Warnock and Jordan close the gap to a mere 6 points. That DNF by the TVR doesn't do Kane and Barf's championship hopes any good, unfortunately.
We've only had a fair, proper battle like that at the first race. Since then, there's been too big a gap, and although I've chased him, I've never caught him and had to actually try and pass him. And he's very good, he doesn't make any mistakes, but he just made one little one out the back and I was able to get a run on him, but I thought he won't let me go around the outside. But he must have been feeling a bit soft today.
Well, second place for Short and Pullen was good enough to extend their lead over the troubled Ferrari, but perhaps they didn't count on Tim Sugden's storming win, which moves him into second overall.
Looks like we've got to fight for this championship after all. Lister are back to their winning ways, and as for Saleen, they've got a lot of work to do for Rockingham next time out.
Well, we move back to a more usual time of 7 a.m. next Saturday morning for F3 action. Next today, Guns for Hire looks at what went into the making of a classic. And here's a great piece of film trivia. How many of the Magnificent Seven can be named?